I'm here at the Lazy River Market. It's actually a fantastic market. It's incredibly busy here. I've got Geoff Menzies with me here. And I'm going to talk to Geoff about water, but we can just see in the background your wife does some fantastic artwork. I assume that's all Emma's work, not your work there?
Most definitely all Emma's work. I think I'm just the chief tent erector today.
That's right. And what a good tent you've erected there. So she's got some great artwork there and obviously very busy there, but some great stands around here. But what I want to talk to you about, you live in Dubbo still, but your business is in Warren, and your business basically helps with the facilitation of movement of water for obviously farmers, I assume. So there's a lot of debate and discussion around water at the moment, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on water and that whole debate that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, with the Macquarie River and there's a lot of turmoil with the irrigators, whether the irrigators seem to be the bad people, which is totally wrong. The graziers are, the stock water graziers, that sort of stuff, which is probably 90% of my business, is supplying stock water to remote parts, especially in this last drought with the likelihood of a little bit of feed left in some countries. It's never been accessible because it's had no water. You couldn't get water there, so I run pipelines and put troughs and tanks and all that sort of stuff in. And it's also much more economical than dam water supply, if they have that option. As far as the irrigators go and the cotton growers and that sort of stuff, the towns like Narromine, Trangie, Warren are very, very heavily reliant on the irrigation industry, which has made the towns what they are today. They're a very wealthy town. They're a huge employer. If you look at Oscott, Namoy Cotton, Oscott at Trangie, all these businesses, the longevity, because they had such a phenomenal season with the amount of irrigation water that they used, that in turn made a hell of a lot of work and a lot of employment in those towns, and that what makes those towns tick. If they've got no cotton, it's so apparent. And I've been in Warren since 2005, and it's very obvious what's going on in the town. There's no cars in the street. But when the irrigation industry is cranking, every motel's full, every rental house is full, and they're doing 2 shifts at the gin, that sort of thing. So that really is, there needs to be a lot of thought go into reducing their allocation, and without getting too politically incorrect, I'm just very concerned with the large amount of water that the government owns as a licensee, as just the same as any other licensee. But I think they could be a bit more. They could probably be a little bit more generous on what they're not letting go down the river, and maybe share some of that allocation with the irrigators again, especially in a time when we've just had a drought, and that's the only thing that's survived.
Yeah. And so a lot of people paint the picture that you've got the greedy irrigators and the greedy farmers trying to take the water and the environment needs it. But I think the point that sometimes is missed is that those greedy irrigators inject a huge amount of money, as you've just said, into those economies. So that all those people, all that employment, all the different businesses there that rely on that are reliant on that water. If that water stops, some of those small communities just about stop.
A lot of people don't realise the irrigators are only responsible for 18% of the water. The rest of the other 82% is pretty much government and town supply, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got Nyngan, Cobar, Warren, Trangie, Narromine, Dubbo. Everybody's reliant on this. Wellington, all reliant on the Macquarie River. Yeah. So I guess there's a sum done somewhere, but everybody jumping all over the irrigators doesn't necessarily make sense, because when they haven't even got 20% of the water, but they probably inject 50 or 60% of the income into these small towns. So I really strongly advise against bashing irrigators or anybody particularly on the river, because they've all got their different ways, but there's a bit too much going to the environment. My thought was always that if the river was like it was before, birds got wings and they tend to go away. If there was nothing there, let's go and nest somewhere where there is somewhere good, instead of artificially trying to create an environment. So,
and obviously I've talked to environmentalists who have a different view, which is why we live in a wonderful democracy that we do, that you're allowed to have different opinions. But I don't think the government's got it right on this one, but I just think they need to go back to the drawing board and make sure we do get it right, because it's too important. It's too important for the environment. It's too important for the income for these communities. We can literally kill communities if we don't have
Without a
the
doubt.
right allocation of water. So, anyway, that's great. Thank you. Look, again, I know you have told me before you were disappointed I wasn't mayor anymore, and obviously that was out of my hands, but I'm doing my best to at least get back in somewhere.
We don't need to go down that track, I don't think.
No, that's right. But look, I'm doing my best to get back at least into a position of government, in state government, where I hope I can have a very positive influence. Well, I know I can have a positive influence. I hope that I can get there.
Well, the independents seem to be flying at the moment anyway, so good luck with it.
Yeah, right. Thanks for your time, thanks for your thoughts, and I know you've got more paintings to go back over there and sell, so I'll let you go back over and help Emma.
Good on you.
Thanks, Geoff.
Thanks, mate.